So in this part, I'm going to introduce KERI to you at the beginning, and also Hawkins' house as well. Hawkins' house, the parish of Bitton, Bristol, autumn 1776. In pride of place, the newly painted family portrait was carefully hung. It showed the onlooker everything the owner wanted to depict. It portrayed the family who resided at Hawkins' house had power, money, and influence. The painting itself had the unmistakable style of the most celebrated artist of the day. The owner, his wife, and his young children dressed in true splendour, surrounded by only what wealth could buy. Why? Even the two slave children were dressed in opulence. On further inspection, the one thing the owner disliked about the painting was the child. She was positioned far too forward, and her gaze fell upon the viewer. She did not have a hint of servitude in her eyes. "Bloody artist!" he seethed as he walked away. November 1789. KERI was greatly aggrieved, her wrist being tethered to the unyielding wooden arms of a monstrosity of a chair, her nether regions forced into the horseshoe of the seat. This form of childbirth was out of fashion, but her mamma, as she called her, insisted this heirloom was better for the birth. Mrs. Hawkins did not hold astride with the new method of lying flat on her back, legs splayed like a chicken on a wooden board, ready for dismemberment. A cocktail of days of confinement in the airless room was unbearable, and it was now mixed with the smell of KERI's own excrement and waters, which collected in the porcelain bowl that had been placed under the open seat of the birthing chair. KERI attempted to rise. The straps would mark her skin. Betty, her maid, continued to press the congealed jelly of goose fat between the leather restraints, trying to soothe each scream that arose from KERI's throat. The bedroom door opened and another woman was escorted into the room by a maid, who then, after carefully observing the scene, quickly left, closing the door behind her. KERI saw by her dress that the new arrival was not one of the household and must be from the village. "Bring clean linen!" she barked. The racking cough that followed told KERI that the woman was of an age that her time of usefulness would soon be long gone. She lifted KERI's chemise, her callous hands pressed hard on her swollen belly. "I don't know if they're the same as us, more like animals," she said with disdain. The woman's unsympathetic eyes, the pupils clouded, peered at KERI's face. KERI could smell the sweet gin the woman had recently consumed, and the woman's hand slipped under the chair of the underside of the chair and forced its way into KERI's womanhood. "Get away from me!" she screamed in pain, and her legs kicking out in protest. A slight glimmer of compassion flashed across the old woman's face. Also, a sigh of relief at what she discovered. She was greatly aware that even though this was a blackie, she would be in trouble if this birth did not go well. "What is her age?" the woman barked. "KERI is in her 17th year. "There's no point in doing that," as KERI bucked again. The old woman snorted. "A horse and a cow will buck till it's over." At that point, KERI remembered that she had witnessed one of Mr. Hawkins' prize mares giving birth to its foal. With one last agonising scream and push, KERI decided to do the same. When she awoke, she saw her mama had joined the midwife and Betty, and they were huddled in a small group, standing in the corner at the end of the bed. "Mama, let me see," she pleaded. "KERI, my dear, you have given birth to an angel." Mrs. Hawkins' face was streaming with tears. "Let me see, is it a boy or a girl?" KERI had sensed something was amiss. She began to sit up, her arms outstretched, ready to receive her child. Mrs. Hawkins hesitated for a moment, but then brought the child toward KERI and began to open the shawl in which the infant was wrapped. A boy. The cloth fully opened to display the infant's masculinity. KERI took the child in her arms. She realised it was not the boyhood that had caused the alarm, but the fact that the infant that she was now cradling in her arms had the fairest skin. A swathe of small yellow curls on its head. She could also see the infant's eyes, although hardly open, were the colour of grey autumn sky. She bent her head and kissed the small birthmark that was on its cheek.